The show in the ratings winds up with a 2.78. Nitro that night gets a 3.28. Let's get to the real show. Reason we're here. King of the Ring 1997. You guys drew 9,312 fans. The gate's $202,963. The arena is set for 16,000, but only 9,300 are here. You once or twice in the show referenced that there's 10,000 fans here, but McMahon multiple times calls it a capacity crowd. And Vince always did that. He always called it a capacity crowd, even if it wasn't sold out. Do you think Vince knows what capacity crowd means?
Oh, I think he probably does. I think it's just part of his damn vernacular.
Sure.
It's like he said about me, he can't help himself. JR can't help himself. I don't think that's the promoter in him. And so he overlapping roles of being the promoter, the owner of the company, and the lead broadcaster. So no, he had a habit of doing that. For all those years, we thought that the WrestleMania 3 did 93,000 people. Hell, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I saw it on closed circuit, actually. But we found out at the end of the day, when the newsletters and the Meltzers and the Kellers of the world found out it was 78,000, that was a headline. For whatever reason, McMahon embellished this dome crowd. So I don't know. I wasn't comfortable with that, and he never said anything to me about that though. It was all what I said was the truth, and it was a good crowd. The shots were good, but yeah, it was about half a house.
Let's talk a little bit about Vince as a broadcast partner. I, like you, didn't remember that you guys did commentary together on this. How would you categorize the roles? I know traditionally people think, okay, this guy's play-by-play, that guy's color, but a lot of times throughout this show, Vince is trying to do play-by-play, and that feels like that should be the other way around. Did you guys have a conversation about that? Or did you know, hey, it's his show, I'm just here to support him however I can?
I knew my role. My role was going to be the color guy. Lawler was not with us that night because he was in the tournament. So it was Vince and I, and so my role didn't change. This is always the lead. When it was he, Jerry, and myself, he was still always the lead. And then Jerry and I would fill in, basically Jerry first, and I would pick up whatever's left. I had no problem with that, quite frankly. But we knew what I knew what my role was going to be. That's why in that show, if folks go back and listen to it, you'll hear so much background information. I felt it was, my storytelling theory is that, we got to continue to tell the audience who these guys are and why they're here and et cetera, et cetera. So I did a lot of background information on that show. And I think I did it I was pleasantly surprised at how I did it when I watched the show back, because I didn't really step on any dramatic moments or high spots or false finishes or anything like that. It was done at a time where there's either wrestler separation or during an entrance. We get some of that background information in, but I thought it helped the show, and it told everybody who these guys were. And we had lost an audience. We're trying to gain an audience back. So we thought with new people coming back, they might not know the backstory of all these cats. So that's kind of what we did. But I knew my role was going to be the color guy, and quite frankly, it worked out fine.
Your dark match that night was the Headbangers getting a win over Bart Gunn and Jesse James. That would have been a weird version of the New Age Outlaws. It's the wrong smoking gun here. The Headbangers get the win in 6 minutes and 10 seconds. And Meltzer would note, before the show started, they do an angle that's simply for the live crowd, where they're trying to remind everyone, hey, Mankind's a face now. So Mankind comes out to cheers since he's without Paul Heyman and cuts a babyface promo. And Lawler appears on the video screen and does a heel promo. I guess they just wanted to sort of prime the audience for our second match on the card. But let's talk about the first match. We open it up with Ahmed Johnson coming to the ring, or I guess he could have been Buck Johnson. Thankfully, Bill Watts wasn't around for that. Hunter Hearst Helmsley is out next. This is supposed to be his year in 1996 to win the King of the Ring. Of course, we know he's now going to claim that crown here in 97. They go 7 minutes and 42 seconds. This is a King of the Ring semifinal. The match is okay, but I was reminded watching this why I was not a huge Ahmed Johnson fan. What'd you think of the match, watching it back for the first time in 20-something years?
I thought Hunter got much out of Ahmed as could humanly be done. Ahmed was still very green. Again, you get guys this great look, but I don't know if he had a feel for the game. And I thought he may have listened to the wrong people too. He seemed to always not trust anybody. And you get in this entertainment world, you got to start trusting somebody somewhere. Find your little inner circles you can count on and trust those dudes. But I thought Hunter got about as much out of Ahmed as he was going to get, and you saw the value of Joni of China, how that she was used. I can assure you that Paul Levesque helped lay out that match from start to finish, which shows you his ability to do those type things. And I thought he did a nice job. And but I think it was a surprise that Ahmed lost, because Ahmed kind of going into this thing was, we kind of made him the pre-tournament favorite because he was so impressive and he hadn't been touched.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would have thought that Ahmed Johnson was the favorite. He hadn't lost a lot on TV. It was a big deal when he finally did lose. You guys made him the Kuwaiti Cup champion once before. I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, belief that Ahmed was going to be the guy, but Hunter picks up the win here with a very jacked China, and you're pushing that she's benching over 300 pounds. And it's remarkable to see this early footage of China, considering what we know she would look like when we knew her later, after she had some augmentation and some enhancements, a little nip, a little tuck. But seeing her in her 1997 form is probably the way I still remember her the most.
Yeah, it was brought back a lot of memories to see her. Another thing that brought back memories, folks, if you watch that show back on the WWE Network or YouTube or wherever you see it, me and Gene Okerlund voiced over the cold open like a voiceover guy. And I didn't realize that. I went back and listened to it the second time. It brought tears to my eyes because Gene's voice was full and clear and clean. And if you go back and watch this show only to hear Gene's open, which is like a minute, voiceover style, it'll be worth it. You'll appreciate his work, his skills at that time. But Joni was a big asset, and I got to hand it to Hunter. Hunter, not that Joni was not a dumb woman. She was not by any stretch, but Hunter really had a great feel for the pair of them, the character, and he did a great job in molding her and getting her to be in the right place, the right time, the right demeanor, and 09 yards. And she was very consistent with it. She played her gimmick very, very well. And we realized that they were going to be a money group pair. But at that time, you get the same thing you could tell with we talked about with Sid earlier. Ahmed, we kind of moved on from Ahmed. That's why Ahmed didn't win the tournament. He wasn't ready for it, and there was not a trust factor there that everybody was comfortable with.
I want to mention Jerry Lawler is in our next match here. And of course, everybody in this era is talking about how, Jerry Lawler's old or over the hill or whatever. He's only 47, and The Undertaker, who's going to wrestle tomorrow in Saudi Arabia, is 54. So just keep that in your purview when you watch King of the Ring 97 again.